going on, you bunch of heathens? Today we're checking out a found and explained video, which I'm pretty sure I've done before. Actually, no, I guarantee it. I've done it before. But this time, it's about the MiG-29. Because, like I said, the MiG-29 is one of, if not my favorite, like, Soviet-Russian planes. Like, I don't know why. It just is. And so I wanted to look a bit more into the history, and I found this by Found and Explained, and I already know I enjoy them. So we're going to check this out. It's called Why the Soviet Answer to the F-16 Failed, the MiG-29 Story. Original video will be linked down below. Make sure you guys check it out. Let's jump in.
1988. Two state-of-the-art Soviet fighters are flying in formation, entering British airspace.
Oh.
But they're not seen as enemies, but
Here we go.
greeted as friends, with no ill intentions. They're here to put on one of the greatest air shows the world has ever seen.
Oh, really?
As the pilots performed in front of the world audience, everybody was left with the same questions on their lips. Has the Soviet Air Force finally gained a technological upper hand over the West? And is the future of air warfare going to...
I mean, no. As much as, like, Soviet boos or whatnot want to say so, no. You can't really tangle with the fucking might of the US's military and industrial complex. You say you have something, we then proceed to make something even better than whatever you say. And then come to find out it isn't as good as you said, and we're just like, oh, well, shit.
Perhaps one of the greatest fighter jets ever built, just at the wrong time, at the wrong place.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good. I actually like that. That's actually a pretty good way to describe the MiG-29. It's one of the best fighter jets. Wrong place, wrong time.
Oh, and don't
because it
forget
is
that we
good,
have
it's
an
just not the
online
best.
merch store every week, new items. Foundandexplained.shop.
I kind of want to get one of their plane diagrams. That'd be cool.
The Vietnam War and subsequent
F4.
Israeli-Arab wars flipped the table for the Soviets. On one hand, there was the great performance of the MiG-21s in Vietnam against the technologically superior F-4s, but on the other side was the subpar, oh, who am I kidding, the actually terrible performance against Israelis flying the same jets.
I was about to say, I think it has to do with, I was going to ask, does it have to do with the fact that a lot of the, in Vietnam, they were more or less hamstringed by fucking, dumb decisions that they were told they had to do? Is that what it is? So I think I heard about that. Like, they had some really weird rules of engagement.
Scrambling for answers to this situation, the Soviets built a new training center called the 1521 in the Air Base Mary, dubbed the Soviet Top Gun program. And the other was the development of a slew of fourth-generation fighters. But in classic
Love the
rock,
classic
paper, scissors
shark
fashion,
nose art.
the situation quickly reversed. Just as the Americans were afraid of the Soviet MiG-25s, so now were the Soviets when they found out about the FX program and the next generation of fighters in the United States.
Yep,
Their
you scared us,
response was
so
a
we
program
fucking...
calling for a light and heavy fighter, which...
You scared us, so we made something even better. You scared us, so we made one of the most dominant aircraft in the fucking world.
Could share design features, but perform different missions. This would be called the LPFI, or Advanced Light Frontline Fighter Project, and MiG was adamant to build another legend. After Viktor Belenko defected in 1976 and
revealed that it was a pretty shitty plane. I will admit, I mean, the MiG-29 is another fucking legend. It is a legendary aircraft. There's no denying that.
Under which the MiG-25 was hiding and gave them all of the latest electronics, Mikoyan and Gulevich had a very difficult task at hand. All design philosophy up to this point was thrown away, and they needed to build this new jet from scratch. As per usual, when you've been around this channel for a while, the requirements issued by the Soviet government for this new fighter were extremely ambitious. The new
As they
fighter
usually
had
are.
to fly it over Mach 2, present extraordinary maneuverability for dogfighting, which was still very important as the Soviets had learned from the Israelis and experiences in Vietnam, but also have the ability to use BVR capabilities that would counter the new US missiles like the AIM-7 and their powerful radars. The Klimov Bureau was tasked with developing the new RD-33 engines, and MiG decided to go for a 2-engine option to give the aircraft enough power even though it was classified as a light fighter. Each engine provided some 8,300 kilograms force. When dividing with the weight of the aircraft, they actually got the thrust-to-weight ratio greater than 1. Which would make it critical for its agility in dogfights.
Yeah, that's really good.
Stop there. This aircraft design implemented LERX, or wing extensions, where that will go all the way to the canopy and hump behind the cockpit to house extra fuel and electronics. 2 vertical stabilizers.
Honestly, kind of a vibe.
For better control maneuver.
Good, kind of a vibe. It's better than canards. I don't like canards, but that's kind of the wing extensions are actually kind of a fucking vibe.
And the engines were then separated into 2 gondolas on the underside of the fuselage to increase survivability and ease maintenance and replacement. And thus what we know as the MiG-29 was born.
It is a pretty sexy aircraft. God.
The MiG-29 was not just an elegant airframe with good aerodynamics. This time, the Soviets wanted to pay more attention to what was under the hood as well. And trust me, this stuff is cool. It would have a new infrared search and track system called COLS, which was mounted in front of the canopy and would allow the pilot to track in real time and fire infrared guided missiles on the enemy jets without using the radar. The MiG-29 was also the first Soviet jet to use composite materials in its construction, and the latest innovation was the helmet-mounted aiming system that would allow the pilot to lock onto enemy jets outside of his HUD and launch a missile, just by looking. Along with IRST, this was something that America would adopt only some 20 years later. New R-73 missiles would also make this new tech effective in combat scenarios because they were extremely agile with thrust vectoring systems and could be launched off-board while maneuvering, where the pilot could take evasive action at the same time. Bye-bye Maverick. The MiG-29 was a true dogfight beast. However, just as the Americans were wrong about the F-4, so were the Soviets with the MiG-29. And here's my controversial statement. The MiG-29 was never a bad jet, it was just never properly developed for its role.
Oh. In what sense?
Soviet air warfare doctrine envisioned the MiG-29 as a frontline fighter, meaning that the new heavy Su-27 would perform long-range patrols and deep interceptions, where the MiG-29 would be tasked with fighting the remnants of an enemy air opponent, and supporting the CAS jets like the Su-25. Hence Phasertron, the company developing the N019 radar, decided to go with an old Cassegrain antenna instead of a planar array, based off the Sapphire 23 ML. This made the radar less effective in tracking targets on longer distances and prone to jamming. It was equipped with the new R-27 missile.
Why would you... They really cheaped out for no fucking reason, huh?
But the missiles themselves proved to be extremely unreliable, but let's not get ahead of ourselves just yet. The Soviets, still burning with rage from the defection of one of their best pilots a few years earlier, took great measures not to leak anything to the West. They even went as far as to have the engineers at the factory work in such shifts to avoid outdoor testing when American spy satellites flew over Moscow. Alas, again, one man destroyed it all.
Of course.
Phasertron engineer Adolf Tolk.
That's how it always goes. That's how it always goes. It's always... The weakest part of any security system is the human element.
Kodchev sold the CIA information about the all-new Soviet electronics and missiles, including the radar for the MiG-29 and Su-27.
I wonder how much.
Peaceful glory, we don't know, as he was captured and shot in 1986.
Oh, fuck. And that was actual footage of it?
These flaws, the Soviets quickly redeveloped a modernization to the MiG-29A called the MiG-29 Izdalia 913 or MiG-29S. Radar was updated and additional jamming equipment was added to the enlarged hump behind the pilot, and the range was also extended by some 100 kilometers due to more fuel capacity. The 913 was equipped with air-to-ground weaponry as well and had the capability to carry nuclear bombs. So we arrive at the Farnborough Air Show in 1988 and the first presentation of the new fighter to the world. The Soviets already understood that the future of air warfare will require multi-role aircraft and not dedicated fighters, and so they started developing a new MiG-29M variant along with the carrier-based MiG-29K. However, they simply came at the wrong time after the Chernobyl disaster in 1986.
Oh no.
And with the Soviet economy dwindling, such projects were at the bottom of the priority list and were soon cancelled.
Oh, dude almost got ran over.
The 913 is the most sophisticated variant when the USSR fell apart.
Oh, that's kind of sucks. I would love to see the
track record for this jet.
I would love to see a carrier variant and shit. That would have been cool to see.
The Iraqi Air Force
I love seeing cool jet shit.
The invasion of Kuwait, and the USSR didn't provide them with any new R-73 missiles, and they flew old R-60s against Americans during Desert Storm. The MiGs lost all duels with F-15s and only managed to score 1 kill against the Tornado. Then in 1999, Yugoslav MiGs faced off against F-15s and F-16s.
Damn, y'all. They really got shafted with that shit. R-60s versus a fucking... Damn.
And lost every single engagement, being blown out of the skies by new and extremely deadly AMRAAM missiles, having no chance without working radars, and the ill-fated R-27s. And here's the thing about the R-27. In simple words, it was a terrible missile. Just like the US had problems with the M7 during its...
The only exposure I have to the R-27 is through War Thunder, which War Thunder doesn't really tell you how... They go off of pure technical data on what it should do. It doesn't do malfunctioning shit. You know? They don't do that kind of shit.
Its early development, the Soviets had a terrible missile which proved to be ineffective even during training and testing at the Mary Air Base, or the so-called Soviet Top Gun School. During the conflict between Eritrea and Ethiopia that started in the late 90s, Ethiopian Su-27s with Russian Merc pilots faced off against Eritrean MiG-29s. Not a single Su-27 was shot down, while 5 MiG-29s were by much superior flankers. However, out of the 30-something launched R-27s during the conflict, only a single missile scored a hit.
Damn, really? That is a really shitty plane.
Them in use in Ukraine, with the Ukrainian Air Force using MiG-29s in their updated Mu-2 variant during the current war against Russia. With the help from NATO, they managed to integrate AGM-88 HARM missiles and use it in SEAD missions, with some of them actually scoring hits on Russian AA systems in the Kherson region.
That is cool.
They're also used extensively in fight against Russian drones, and Ukrainian pilots keep flying swords.
I do know. Back when the propaganda for Ghost of Kiev, I still love that. That's such a cool propaganda thing when the when the war originally started. Sorry. Who was it? Funker, because Funker did a shirt for him and then put proceeds towards Ukraine. I bought a Ghost of Kiev shirt, and he was supposed to be a MiG-29. And then also all the original footage of all the fights and shit of all the planes, having to determine what was fake and what wasn't was kind of difficult in the beginning. But so interesting to see all the actual, seeing them all in the battle.
To this day against all odds. However, in the words of the pilots themselves, the lack of proper mid-range AA missiles and the Russians using long-range R-37Ms make their mission pretty impossible in air-to-air combat.
Yeah, it would.
Integrating ARAM is very hard because Ukrainian MiGs are pretty old and Soviet system architecture doesn't support modern NATO missiles, proving that the aircraft really is obsolete at this point. But the saga of the MiG-29...
No, if you want to bring it back, you'd have to update it again at this point. But, I mean, would it be worth it? Maybe, I don't know. I think a even modernization for these would be pretty cool.
Not over, at least not yet. It was none other than India that came to the rescue and ordered further
India did
development
it?
of the MiG-29K for their aircraft carrier in the early 2000s.
Really?
Down the line, MiG developed the heavy updated K and M2 variants for the Indians and export respectively, and the latest modernization
Fuck
of the
yeah,
MiG-29
India!
is now called the MiG-35, and it's the ultimate variant of this jet, implementing fly-by-wire controls, new radar, new set of weaponry and electronics, along with targeting pods. It's completely a new jet based on the same old airframe. And
That's
if you're interested
cool.
to know the story of the last fulcrum, let me know and I'll be happy to make a video about it. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching, and I hope you liked this video, so don't forget to subscribe and leave a like for more content.
That's cool. Hey, Nick Cumming. I know this guy. I think I do anyway. Damn. I'm so glad India continued the research for it. That's really cool. This plane deserved so much better. I do enjoy it. Well, that was the MiG-29 story by Found and Explained. That was really cool. There were some parts in there was like, damn. I didn't realize that the MiG actually was considered like that, had that bad of performance in actual combat. It's kind of sad to think about. Still a really good video, though. It'll be linked down below, so you make sure you guys go and check out the original video. Like and subscribe if you want to see more of me, and until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.